concerns rather than as a critique of the official plan and a hope as to how the plan will be implemented. As I said, my name is Steve Camilleri. My wife and I have lived here in Milton for almost 4 years now. We love living here and can't wait to start raising a family, and we believe things will get better only as time passes. However, I feel that right now Milton is at a crossroads, and we need to be careful about decisions we're going to be making very soon, including the adoption of this revised / new growth plan. We've all heard about intensification and the need for smart growth as opposed to the current method of suburban development, which simply isn't sustainable. I've read many comments on some public message boards such as the Hawthorne Villager, or even feedback on the town website for various reports. And I'm concerned about comments that seem to be repeated time and time again. Milton finds itself in a very unique position. It's probably the last remaining suburb within the GTA that's a commutable distance to Toronto, that's relatively undeveloped, and there's a chance to create a suburban city that's really remarkable. We can learn from the mistakes other areas all over the GTA, including Milton, have made in the past, and we can build the type of suburban city that's the envy of the entire GTA region. We need to embrace and push for things such as intensification, public transit, and smarter development. We also need to push builders and developers to develop communities that are better planned, that are walkable, accessible by public transit, and also connected to the greater part of Milton as a whole. There are many examples all over the world that show medium and high density developments work extremely well, and that people are very happy living in and around them when they're done properly. I myself live in a townhouse in an area of Milton that is relatively higher in terms of density than the majority of the town right now, and that's in the Hawley and Dairy area of the Coates neighborhood. Within walking or biking distance from our house, there's several shopping areas, schools, a park, and come September, a new transit route. This means for us that driving our cars will be a relative luxury, and we really only be doing that on weekends because we'll be able to use Milton Transit and commute to and from the GO station to our jobs in downtown Toronto. Another benefit of our location relates to proximity to other services and retail when we actually do have to drive. This really means that we can fill the majority of our day-to-day needs within a relatively short distance of just a few kilometers from our house. The point I'm stressing here is that we need to build more areas like this in Milton as we continue to develop the town, which will soon become a city, and move away from the mass of detached houses that really just continue to contribute to congest our roads further, and cause hurt to the environment in countless ways. Now, this doesn't mean that we necessarily need to start building high-rise type condominium buildings that tower over existing residents and don't blend into the community. We need to put these kinds of developments in the right areas, such as by main transit and shopping areas and educational institutions, and we have missed several opportunities to do this in the past. We also need to push to redevelop old areas of Milton with higher densities when those opportunities present themselves and they're logical and feasible to do so. The proposed Milton Education Village and the Dairy Green Corporate Business Park are two great opportunities where we can build these kinds of developments. Another important aspect is the fact that we need to invest in public transit. If we do start to build in these types of methodologies, including intensification and smarter growth, transit makes sense in many more ways, not the least of which are economically. I've also been concerned about comments in the past that relate to the usage of transit as a use it or lose it type of system. If a transit system isn't properly designed or convenient to use, people simply won't use it. That being said, with the updates that have recently occurred for the transit system, such as the new service provider and the realignment or addition of new routes coming in September, the transit system looks to be vastly improved and now services the overwhelming majority of the existing Milton area. This is a very important step to get people out of their cars in the future. My concern is the willingness to keep growing and improving transit over the long run as Milton continues to grow from the town it is now into a suburban city. I realize that transit costs money and it will never fully be subsidized by transit riders. But in terms of the environment and development of neighborhoods and cities like Milton, it has to be there and grow as the town does. In my area of Milton, it's been nearly complete for almost 4 years, and we're just now getting a transit route, which is a great step for our neighborhood, by the way. With all the money we spend on roads and repairs and congestion caused by the massive cars on the roadways, the answer in the future is not only to keep building more roads, which will help alleviate some of that congestion, but it'll also lead to more congestion just by allowing people to add more cars. The answer is public transit, and it needs to be looked at as an asset or an investment, not only an expense. I would finally like to say that with this report, it is certainly a step in the right direction, and there are many great ideas that are being launched here. And I think in time that Milton is only going to grow and become a great suburban city that many people will look to live in, not only as a place to live in as a commuting area into Toronto, but also as a place to live, work, and play, and really truly enjoy life. Thank you for your time.
Sir, if you just remain there for a moment, there may be questions of you, but if I could maybe just, first of all, I rather suspect by your presentation there that many of the things that you're suggesting certainly are under consideration with regards to that conformity exercise that we're talking about, Mr. Mann. You might just want to expand on some such as transit, where I picked up in your presentation a lot of emphasis on transit. So, Mr. Mann, on that point.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. I believe that you're correct in identifying that the vision presented by the delegate is very much in keeping with the vision that's presented through this conformity exercise. And he's right, it will take time, but I'd like to note for council's purpose and for the public purpose that we will be taking the basis of what's approved tonight and using it and plugging it into not only the transportation transit master plan update that is being developed currently at the region, but also the master water and wastewater plan update. So the delegate is correct. The vision is there over the next 20 years. We're hoping that as we move forward in conjunction with our sister municipalities and with the region, that we're going to achieve a lot of the things that are contemplated. And I think that we all concur that transit is one of those primary components that has to be dealt with not only at the local level, but also the regional level.
Are there any questions of Mr. Camilleri, any member of council? Sir, thank you very much.
Thank you.
For the presentation.